We're heading to Arizona this weekend for 3 days of PFT Live. Some of the guests that you will hear from, just a small sampling. Bills General Manager Brandon Beane, Packers GM Brian Gutekunst, Colts coach Frank Reich, Falcons coach Dan Quinn, Titans GM John Robinson, and New Dolphins head coach Brian Flores. But plenty more to come as we get ready to go to Arizona. And Peter, look, it's a combination of rule changes. It's who's going to speak, who's going to be there, what are we going to learn. Give me something you're looking forward to seeing, hearing, witnessing in Arizona.
Mike, on Tuesday, every year at the NFL owners' meetings, the NFL coaches sit in a gigantic ballroom at 7:15 in the morning. Everybody gets breakfast, and for 1 hour, the 32 NFL coaches, it used to be 16 and 16, one on Monday and one group on Monday, one on Tuesday, but now they do them all together. So they have them all together in a room, and for 1 hour, you can go from table to table, and you can ask any coach anything on the record that you want. And so I am looking forward mostly at these league meetings. For the first time in 85 days on Tuesday, Mike Tomlin will sit with reporters, and he will have a lot to talk about. Now, I don't know how much he's going to talk about it, but there's 3 basic topics. 1, Antonio Brown. 2, Le'Veon Bell. 3, Ben Roethlisberger. Those are all topics that could last 2 hours each. And we're going to have to sausage casing them in to 1 hour. So I think probably mostly I'm looking forward to Mike Tomlin sort of reasserting his authority and control of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
While trying to eat breakfast. That's what I always love about that. You mentioned the sausage casing. There literally will be sausage casing on the plate that never gets touched. There's that picture of Bill Belichick at that breakfast just drinking the big old glass of orange juice, and he usually shows up like a half hour late for it. But, yeah, Tomlin has avoided the media. That's a great call. He's avoided the media. There's a lot to discuss. And, there's fundamental things to discuss, too. I would like to hear from Art Rooney II about whether or not they're going to change their ways as it relates to the structuring of contracts. Because I still believe that if they would guarantee money in the second year of a deal, they'd still have Le'Veon Bell under contract right now. He would have signed a long-term deal 2 years ago. If they would have guaranteed him the first year and second year amounts of the franchise tag, the total would have been $26.54 million. If you fully guarantee that, by the way, he got $27 million fully guaranteed over 2 years from the Jets. If the Steelers had done that 2 years ago, he'd still be a Steeler. He'd have signed that contract. But they refuse stubbornly to put guaranteed money beyond the first year, and it cost them their relationship with Le'Veon Bell.
But he also, Mike, when you say that he basically got the same guaranteed money, and I know this was not your intent when you just said that, he also missed out on, after taxes, over $8 million in 2018. So, and that's money he'll never make. And again, it's one thing if he gets an Earl Thomas type contract, okay? Because I believe, and we both believe, that Earl Thomas, you could have knocked him over with a feather when the Ravens gave him $32 million guaranteed after he was going to sign a 1-year, $12 million contract elsewhere. I mean, to Earl Thomas, that was, as he told me, I was shocked. But anyway, the one thing about Le'Veon Bell, you look at going forward, tremendous amount of pressure on the New York Jets to be able to, with a lesser offensive line than he had in Pittsburgh, to be able to try to create an offensive environment without, at least on the surface anyway, that deep threat capability. Maybe Sam Darnold does it with Anderson and with the other new receivers he has. But as of right now, there's a lot of pressure on the Jets to create an offense for Le'Veon Bell that's going to work.
And, ultimately the biggest flaw in the entire Le'Veon Bell analysis may have been that if he had played last year and suffered a serious injury, he won't get paid on the open market. Earl Thomas has the twice broken leg. He got $32 million fully guaranteed. Quan Alexander tore an ACL. He got $14.5 million guaranteed at signing. Another $13.25 million guaranteed for injury in year 2. And again, I know you want to preserve your body and get your big payday, and he did eventually get his big payday. He gave up the $14.5 million last year in gross pay to get the $27 million in fully guaranteed money this year. So he kind of had a plan there, but maybe he could have had both, even if he had suffered an injury last year, Peter.
He would have had both. I mean, it's the old Mike Tyson thing. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Le'Veon Bell sort of got punched in the face by the Steelers last year, not budging on that contract. And he got, well, let's not say punched in the face this year, but he did get a left jab in the face in nobody paying him an average of more than the franchise fee. And Mike, listen, this is not anti-Le'Veon Bell. This is, this has nothing to do with people thinking that Le'Veon Bell is not necessarily great. This has to do with one major factor in how football is played as a game today. In 2017, the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year was the 67th pick in the draft, Alvin Kamara. In 2017, the NFL rushing champion was the 86th pick in the draft, Kareem Hunt of the Kansas City Chiefs. You can find running back value down the road. That's why everybody is saying, why am I paying $15 million a year for a running back? Makes no sense whatsoever. Let me pay $15 million for a position where there is virtual scarcity versus the running back position where there is always a plethora of opportunities to sign guys and guys who will be 12 to 1,500 yard players. Look at the Indianapolis Colts last year. Everybody said they got to sign Le'Veon Bell. Why? Marlon Mack had 1,100 and something yards in 12 games last year. So, I mean, I'm not saying that Marlon Mack is Le'Veon Bell. I'm saying, do you need Le'Veon Bell? They went on an incredible hot streak with Marlon Mack. So I just think that it's not Le'Veon Bell's ability. It is the position that didn't get him paid.
Then why did the Steelers tag him twice? Why give him 12.1 for 2017 and put $14.5 million on the table for 2018? At some point you say, no, go hit the open market and you're going to get a lot less than that. And maybe we'll re-sign you for a lot less than what's already out there on the table.
Because he was their guy, Mike, and it was working great other than the suspensions. It was working great. He was a great player for that offense, and he was worth it to them. And so, I mean, and really, when you think about it, here's the way I look at it. Say 14.5 for 1 year. If you were to ask me last year, if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers, did I think that was a lot for Le'Veon Bell? Yes. But do I think paying a great player on your team 7% of your salary cap is overdoing it? No. Do I think that paying him $18 million a year or whatever, all this guaranteed money over 3 or 4 years is a waste and is wrong? Yes. But to me, I still think if they paid him last year, he worked in tandem with James Conner, that would have been a great match for them. Did they end up needing it? Maybe. Could he have made the difference in 1 or 2 more games? He said they would have gone to a Super Bowl. I doubt it. But they would have been a better team spending that money on Le'Veon Bell last year.
Peter, somebody else that I am looking forward to hearing from, Giants co-owner John Mara. I firmly believe that the Monday conference call from Dave Gettleman, the GM of the Giants, was intended to take some of the focus off of Mara, who will always hold court on his way in. It was last year where he really, as a practical matter, got the topic out in the open that the Giants would trade Odell Beckham Jr. because he was so exasperated by Beckham. I'm done talking about Beckham. I don't want to hear about Beckham. I just wonder whether Mara hoped that Gettleman's press conference would result in fewer questions about what precisely the Giants' plan is right now, because it sure doesn't seem like they have one, Peter.
I think their plan is very simple. You look at the history of Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman believes that he wants to build both lines. That is the way he is. Dave Gettleman is George Young in the 80s. That's what I think he is. And, he is a guy who wants to make sure that he can rush the passer and stop the run and who can run the ball. That's what he wants to do. Now, maybe that's prehistoric football. Seems that way to me. But I believe that is what he's going to do. And, Mike, if he doesn't take Dwayne Haskins at number one, and he has the chance to take Dwayne Haskins, and I don't know that he will, but if he doesn't take him, that confirms that. Because clearly that would have been the second year in a row he would have passed in favor of the running game and building the line. I think it would say he was building the lines. I will be very surprised if in those first three rounds, and Mike, think about this. I talked to Daniel Jeremiah on my podcast a few weeks ago. Talked to Kuiper. I talked to NFL guys, and they all not all perfectly say this or vividly say this, but there is a sense that the real depth in this draft is in the Patriots' wheelhouse. They got 6 picks between 32 and 101, and if you look at where the Giants are picking right now, 6, 17. 2 in the second, and then 1 in the third round. You are going to see the New York Giants, in my opinion, maybe by trading down once, who knows. But you're going to see them address those 2 lines 3 times in those first 5 picks.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.